Hey everyone, Kale with the Antique Book Collective, and today I'm getting to you guys with the weekly Q&A and all that sort of stuff. So this week, it looked like actually I'm going to hop into the screen share and show you guys. So sorry for that, but it looks like this week, it looks like the small town in the south won, and it looks like random small town on the east coast also won. And it's funny because one of my subscribers actually just requested, hey, you should do it Fayetteville. I'm sorry, I murdered it. I'm not good with names sometimes, guys. I need some more sleep, I guess. North Carolina, though, which I was like, hey, that's a nice mix of the East Coast and the South, so I thought, let's go for it. So I already cheated. I cheated, guys, I'm sorry. And I already looked up the area on booksalefinder.com, and it looks like, guys, we got some really good stuff going on. So with that said, I'm just going to hop right on into this because it's pretty stinking dandy. So with that said, I'm going to open up these right here, and as you guys can see, that's all of it for the week. Oops, I opened up Fayetteville. That's not going on right now. That's next week. But it looks like we have Archdale, North Wilkesboro, Durham, and Salisbury. So Durham is definitely not a small town, and I know that you guys voted for a small town, a random small town, but the other ones are definitely smaller towns. But, well, actually, small towns or suburbs. So, with that said, though, I'm just going to look at the Durham one, and Durham, however you want to pronounce it, I'm sorry. I'm going to look up where it is really quick just to make sure I'm not crazy. All right, so that is around where I think it is. So, with the recommendation or request for Fayetteville, that's here, and most of the places that we're looking at are more this direction, so around Greensboro, but you could definitely swing by Durham if you wanted. But with that said, I'm just going to look at these particular ones. So Salisbury, North Carolina, it looks like it's a monthly sale. As you guys know from my other videos, I personally like these monthly sales. I know a lot of other booksellers don't like them whatsoever because they're like, oh, there's not enough time for stuff to accumulate. But for me, I have so much luck, at these. Personally, I need to go back to the one that I've mentioned in several other videos, the one in Prineville. Love that one, missed that one, and I just have been too busy. But with that said, though, looking at this, it doesn't tell you how many books there are. So what I normally do when I don't know how many books there are is I actually look up the town. So looking up Salisbury, North Carolina, and it looks like it's a good sized town. Does it tell us the population? Fingers crossed. It doesn't look like it says it right here. I can open up the Wikipedia, but I'm not going to do that. But just looking at it, it looks like it's a good-sized small town. So I would personally assume that there's a couple thousand books on the high end there, potentially as low as 400, but probably a bit more. And I would personally go to this because if you guys look, it's far enough away from Charlotte that there aren't going to be there's not going to be a whole lot of booksellers going that way. Sorry, man, I struggled with that one. So the good thing about that is when you don't have a lot of booksellers going somewhere, you just have books that have been sitting, waiting to be bought, potentially for years, waiting for you. So for me, I'm actually going to open up another Google map for this one. So I'm going to look up a town called Klamath. Come on, work for me. There we go. Klamath Falls, Oregon. And I know this is nowhere near North Carolina, but I just wanted to have it for my illustration. I spelled Klamath wrong. I'm sorry, guys. So something about Klamath Falls is, if you guys look at this map, I'm just zooming out really quick. So all the other booksellers that I know live in Portland and Salem. There are a couple that live in Eugene, but not a whole lot. I haven't met any that lived in Bend. But besides that, you guys, the nearest big town that might have booksellers is Reading, and I've been to Reading quite a few times. I haven't seen any booksellers there. I go down to Reading to buy books because there's no booksellers there as far as I can tell. Medford and Ashland are two other bigger cities. Again, I don't see any booksellers there. So I've actually gone to Klamath Falls, and they have a ongoing bookstore in their place. Personally, I don't always go to the bookstores because I usually expect that all the other booksellers have hit the bookstore and bought all the good stuff. But when you have a small town like this, or a monthly sale, like you guys have in the Salisbury one, sorry, had to check that. When you guys have a sale like that, though, and there's no other booksellers going to these places, that means that those books have just been accumulating. The good ones have been adding up all those years, so there can be some really good stuff in those small towns. So for me, I went to the Klamath Falls one, and I would say I spent, that's that's another thing, guys. When you go to the small town ones, they don't charge very much. So with that said, though, I probably spent around $50, and that probably ended up being, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, probably ended up being like $6,000 worth of sales that I ended up making. So that was not all profits. A lot of it was because by that point I was already pivoting mostly into eBay, but I was still in Amazon for a good chunk of my business at that time. And Amazon fees, I was doing FBA. Amazon fees were pretty stinking high, so I didn't make as much profit as I could have, but I still made out in a big way, because spending $50, $6,000 of sales roughly, that's a good day. So I thought that was a really good trip. So with that said, back to Salisbury. Not guaranteeing that it's going to be that good for you, but it definitely could be. So with that said, though, Salisbury, I'd go to that. It looks like it's just Saturday, so we'll keep that in mind. Saturday. So next one, though, let's save Durham till the end. So next one, North Wilkinsboro. So that looks like it doesn't tell you how many books as well. It looks like it's also a monthly sale, and we're just going to look it up. I've already looked it up, but I'm looking it up again just so you guys can see on the maps. So as you can see here, it's there. We got Charlottesville there. So if you guys remember, we were right here in Salisbury. This is Wilkinsboro, and I think the other one that we're hitting is somewhere in the middle. In fact, I'm going to actually pull that up right now. So Archdale. Arch Enemy Dale. Mwahaha! I'm kidding. Alright, so yeah, right in the middle-ish. So that is a little bit towards Greensboro, but it sort of is more or less in the middle. So I know it's a bit of a drive between the two, like boom, 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 but it definitely could be something that you could swing. So with that said, though, let's just think about this from a driving perspective. So if we were leaving from Fayetteville, man, I'm struggling. You guys could drive up to Durham, over to Archdale, down to Salisbury, and then over to Wilkinsboro. That is something that you could potentially do as your drive. Personally, if I was doing this myself, I would think that I would do Fayetteville. I'm just looking at these roads, and I'd take this back road up to Salisbury and then over to Wilkinsboro, and then I would go over to Archdale and then to Durham, just because that's personally what I would go for, because I like the small town ones. I have a lot of luck with the small town ones, and most people don't go for those. And in addition to all that, I've mentioned this in other videos, guys, like the tax write-offs for driving is so sticking nice, especially when you don't have a gas guzzler. Like for me, I went from a small sedan to a pickup truck. My pickup truck is a 2500 Chevy from 1998, so the mileage is not the best. I get something like 13 miles per gallon, and it's funny, whenever I mention that, my dad's like, oh, but that's just for city. I'm like, no, that's for everything. That's like combined. It's not great. But even with that, I could still get the tax write-off, and it still ends up being more profitable for me to take something called the per diem tax rate. Be sure to Google that, ask your tax advisor, all that sort of stuff. But for me, it actually makes out better to pay off the per diem tax rate, which I'm not a tax advisor, all that sort of stuff, but that basically has it so you can take a set amount for your taxes, and when you take that, you can't take your gas, you can't take your car repairs, you can't take your new tires, you can't charge any of that to the government as your tax write-offs. You just take the per diem rate, which can simplify your taxes, and potentially it can end up being more profitable to do one over the other. But again, I'm not your tax advisor. That's something you should take up with them yourselves. But with that said, though, back onto this, I like doing the small towns because of all the extra driving. I love doing long drives in small towns on the back roads. It's just so beautiful, so peaceful, all that sort of stuff. I would much rather drive 7 hours in the back roads than I would like try to drive through LA for 7 hours. That'd just be death. I would die, guys. And that's not just because I get shot by some psycho in LA. It's because I hate driving in big cities. So with that said, though, back onto this. So that's just what I would personally go for. Looking back at this, though, North Wilkinsboro, I know that I exited out of that. Hopefully I can hit back. Yeah, I can hit back and back to Wilkinsboro. Looking at this, so it looks like Wilkinsboro is potentially a largish town compared to Salisbury, at least, because you have looks like these other suburban or other small towns around it, which means that potentially these other small towns might have their donations going to this one town here. I see that a lot, especially in the smaller, more rural areas. And while this isn't insanely rural, it definitely is a little bit more rural. So I would definitely think that this one would have some good stuff, even though they don't tell you how many books they have. So it looks, again, like it's a monthly sale, Thursday through Friday and Saturday. So remember, we said Saturday for the last one, so that's nice that this one's Saturday as well. So that's very, very nice, as I have said like 5 times. No buyer restrictions, sorted, love those things. So onto this, actually, let me just say, when you have them start on Thursday, that normally, from my experience, when it's like Thursday through Saturday or Thursday through Sunday, when they start on a Thursday, I find that normally means they have a lot more books, because they're not going to be open that many extra days if they only have 50 books, like they're not going to spend 50 hours per person, to have like 200 books looked at. They're going to do that for when they have thousands of books. That's just from my experience. It's not always the case, but that's something that I have personally found. So North Wilkesboro, definitely think would be a good go-to. So Salisbury, North Wilkesboro, onto Archdale, which I know we've talked about. And I can't do the back feature on this one now. Sad. Archdale, typing that one in again. Man, it's like we're in the 2004s, have to type everything in. I'm joking. So Archdale, as you guys can see, it is in a more populated area. So what I find is more populated areas like this generally are more liable to have other booksellers, which is not always a bad thing. It can be nice to meet other booksellers, find some cool tips and tricks from them. For me, it's nice because, as you guys know, I'm young. I am 24 years old right now. Yes, I just had to do the math. I don't keep track of that whatsoever. I don't keep track of anyone's age. I could keep track of birthdays, but you want to know someone's age? I don't know. I can't even keep track of my own. But with all that said, though, I'm younger, so a lot of these other booksellers, they are going to be, from my experience, like between 50 and 60 is what I find a lot of them are. I do know quite a few that are in their 40s, but the ones that I've met that I personally enjoy talking to the most are between like 40 and actually even 60. Like, I've met some older ones who are so kind, so forthcoming with information. They have shared so many tips and tricks, and for me, the best tips and tricks that I get are normally, so I want to pull up a map of this, and you know what? It's my video. I'm gonna do this. So this is Oregon right here. So I live in Gresham, which is here, and Portland's here. So for me, I do a lot of my book selling, and the booksellers that I enjoy talking to the most, the older ones, that I mentioned that are 40s and older, which I know isn't too old, but for me it's older. It's almost double my age. But for me, the people that I enjoy talking to the most are not the ones that do the downtown area, because for me, in Portland area, like almost every single bookseller that I talk to is buying their books for like $3 to flip them for like $8. And they're doing that through a company called Powell's Books, which is, they have several locations throughout Portland, which I've never actually, I've been to Portland, but I haven't been to Powell's Books. I'm told it's the best thing ever, but I'm just like, guys, it's in Portland. I think you're missing the main part. In Portland. I don't like that. I'm not going there. But a lot of these people, though, that I talk to, they only do that as their entire business. And like, oh, it's just so easy because I don't have to do the inventory. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do this. It's just immediate turnover. And it's like, well, dude, this book that you're selling for $8, it's worth 40. Oh, but I can get money immediately. But it's like, but you're paying for it. You're only getting double your money. Like, what? Like, you could charge more, and I don't fully understand those people, so that's my little spiel on that. But the people that I have enjoyed are the people that are normally going out to the more rural areas. So for me, I don't have any booksellers as far as I know out towards Gresham, but I'm going up. So up towards Seattle, there is a town called Lakewood, and this is one of my favorite sales that I ever have been to. Lakewood, they had a book sale that was like literally insane, guys. You know what? Again, it's my channel. I can do whatever I want. I'm gonna pull up Lakewood's thing just for you guys. So I'm on Washington, Lakewood, Washington. I'm just gonna look it in, type it in because I'm lazy. Here we go. Lakewood ongoing sale is not what I want. I want their special sale. So March is their special sale. So it doesn't say how many books, but last time I was there, guys, man, I was hoping they were going to say how many books they had. Last time I was there, though, guys, I do not have words for how many books there were. So they had a downstairs to their library. That's where the entire thing was. I don't think they had an elevator, so I think they even had a little spiel of, we're sorry if you're disabled, like, you can't take part. But this place had the most books I've ever seen in a sale. Not ever, but, like, most I've seen in a sale. So I've seen libraries with more books, but this sale was absolutely insane. They had so many like incredible antique books. They actually ran comps for a lot of the books that they were selling, which was very nice because like they were selling these things for like 5% of their value. So it was really nice just for that fact. But besides all that, the people that I talked to while I was there, was absolutely amazing. So back to the books though, how many books there were really quick. So I am just going to say right off the top of my head, I don't know these numbers for sure, but I would say that it was at least 300 feet long and probably 200 feet wide. And then they had back rooms in addition to that they were bringing books out of constantly. Like there were tens of thousands of books. I want to say 100,000, but I'm not going to say 100,000 because that does seem excessive, but definitely tens of thousands of books. Guys, it was the most incredible, insane thing I've ever seen. Like, my mind was so thoroughly blown when I saw it. When they said it was in the basement, I was thinking, oh, it's going to be a small basement, and they said they had a limit on people, so I was like, oh yeah, totally a small basement. Went in there, not a small basement whatsoever. It was so cool. But back to what I was saying though, before the sale started, we were waiting in line, and I was chatting with all these other booksellers, and all of them were just sharing these cool tips and tricks with me, a nice little greenhorn who like doesn't belong here, because like the only other people buying books are like 3 girls or something like that actually read. Dudes don't read books anymore, I guess. I don't know. But like, there was no one else my age except for like those 3 girls, and they were going doing their thing. So I'm chatting with all the booksellers. They're sharing all these cool tips, and I'm just like, whoa, really? That's a cool niche. Oh, and I'm learning all these cool things. So that's just something that I personally really enjoy. And personally, I do not remember whatsoever what made me start talking about that. I'm checking again. Sorry, guys. Let's see, Archdale. I'm just trying to remember at this point. Yep. No clue whatsoever. I'm gonna get it back to me when I'm editing this video, but yeah, long story short though, guys, definitely some really good lessons that you can learn from other booksellers. Oh, I recall now, I was talking about it being close to where other booksellers would be. There we go. I think that's what it was. So with that said though, avoiding booksellers can be nice, can also be a hindrance because you don't learn as much potentially all the time, but odds are if you're on YouTube looking up videos on learning about books, you probably know a little bit more than I did when I was first starting and basically just going out on my own, because I didn't know people talked about this on YouTube. In fact, I made this channel because I didn't see anyone else talking about having an antique book business on eBay. I was like, well, it's not the entirety of my business, but it is a good majority. It's where I make most of my money. In fact, I have a couple short videos that I'm going to be making as soon as this is done, basically. So I guess this is a first edition of Moby Dick. It was 1930, so it's not like a first edition, but people call it a first edition because it's like, I guess when it first started really getting printed. So this one was I was going for $85. There were people selling it anywhere between $250 to $600. Mine has a little bit of weird cooties going on the bottom. It looks like someone like had their name and then someone tried to erase it with like rubbing alcohol and probably acid. Probably not acid, but you know, it's pretty bad. But I ended up asking $85 for it because I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go for this, and just sold it. I didn't get $85. I think I got $51, and I just wanted to see it go because I literally just had listed it, but I was like, I just want to get some sales. I'm a little bit bored, but that was really cool. And another book was Black Beauty. I was asking $125 and got that. So those 2 books, I'll do shorts on them in a little bit. So I know this is a spoiler, but I just thought those were really cool ones. So yeah, so back to this. I'm sorry, I keep on going on tangents. So Archdale, though, looks like it'd be a really good place. Lots of other booksellers, lots of good stuff that you guys can find for sure, I would say. And it doesn't look like there is a lot of books, like 5,000 plus doesn't look like a lot if you guys have been doing this for a long, long time. But personally, what I find is 5,000 plus probably means a lot more than that. Because again, people aren't going to hand count 5,000 books and be like, oh, 5,000 plus. They're going to just round. So 50% hardcover, that means that there isn't going to be a whole lot of antiques. I mentioned this in other videos. If there's a lot of hardcovers, like 80% plus, that means there's going to be a lot of vintage and antique books. When it's only 50%, that means that there is half paperbacks, half hardbacks, and paperbacks generally are newer books. I have not come across any paperback books that are older than, I'm going to throw out the 1880s, but usually more like the 1940s is when I see more paperbacks. So that's just what I personally found. This is some good info here as well. So this would be a really nice sale to go to. Definitely, I would expect it to be potentially bigger than the other 2, but no guarantees. So on to Durham though. So it looks like this is going on Saturday. Actually, let me check this really quick. Okay, yeah, that's going on Saturday too. I didn't check that one for Archdale. Now I did. So looks like Saturday is still our day to go. So back to Durham. Looking here, going on Saturday. Open to the public. Let's see, is this one not? Okay, members only. So members only ones. I know several people that swear by member only ones. Personally, I don't care for them. Like, I would like to do some of them sometimes, but I just have so much on my plate with all the other things that I do that I personally can't do it if I tried. So with that said, though, over to this. Hardbacks are $5. That is expensive. I know it's a city, so that's more the going rate for city prices. As I mentioned earlier, antique books, or any book in general, that you find in small towns, you can get a really good price for those. Big towns, they charge more. Sometimes they even like individually price things. So let me actually just check. Okay, I don't see any individual pricing things, but sometimes with these bigger cities, people will literally individually price these different things, and they will ask for top dollar potentially for some of these things. So I personally hate spending that much. So the estate sale that I've mentioned in quite a few of my other videos, I'm still working through listing it, guys. Like, I still have a pile over there, a big pile. Like, it's insane how many books I've been listing. Like, ugh. But I paid $5 for several of those books, and man, the profit multiple for me, like, I look at not profit margin. I don't look at, oh, I made $20. I look at the multiple, because like when you're paying so little of an amount for a book, like, oh wow, I made 50% or $5 in my book. It's not as exciting as the multiple. For me, I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, I paid $1 and I'm selling it for 40 time multiple. I'm okay with that. Like, I'm personally a more multiple guy. That's my thing. So for me, the multiple though on $5 books, it's just not the same. It's not as exciting. So with that said, like, trade paperbacks, larger paperbacks are $3. Guys, $3 for a paperback is so high. And then mass market paperbacks, $2. What in the pigeon? That's what I say about that. What in the pigeon? Like, that is way too much. And then for children's books, $1 to $3. Like, I personally would not go to the sale just because they're asking for so much. Like, I am sure they have some really good books. I don't see the actual count on how many books they have. Oh, there we are. 20,000 books. So yeah, it's a lot. But again, those prices are, I'm going to say, 3 times more than what I would personally want to spend. For me, I like to spend 25 cents at the high end for mass market paperback. Sometimes I go up to 50 cents if I know that it's a good sales item. So I mentioned this in another video. There's a publisher called Love Inspired. So they make suspense, they make clean romance, all these sort of things. It's for clean stuff and Christian stuff, and the large print for editions of those, guys, like, I can sell those. I sell lots of those of 10 for $20 plus, like, all day long, easy sale. Like, I love selling those, but I would not pay $2 for that. Not just because I would be break even on that, but just because I, again, look for multiples. So just from that alone, it's like, wow, mass market paperbacks are dumb. The hardback price, dumb. But with the 20,000 books, it could be worth going to. For me, I personally wouldn't go to this one, but it definitely looks like it's a cool sale. But with that said, it's my video, so I'm going to exit out of that one. So it looks like, from what I can see, that these are the 3 places we're likely going to hit. So gonna kick out Durham, and let's see, I actually forgot. Where are we? Where's Salisbury? Oh, there's Salisbury. All right. So looking again at this, so if I was planning out the drive, I would again take this back road. Personally, I might go up to I'm brain farting, Archdale one first, and then down to Salisbury, and then over to Wilkinsboro. Personally, I think that's the drive that I would do if I was doing this. And honestly, guys, I would do estatesales.net and .org. In fact, you know what? It's my video, as I've said like 20 times now. I don't know. I guess I'm possessive today. I'm just going to pull it up just because. So the reason why I'm just pulling this up is not to look at every single individual one, because I think we got enough stuff for the day, but I just wanted to check some stuff out. So I'm looking up Durham. I know that's not where we're planning on going, but I'm going to have the circle be big enough that we can look at the surrounding area just to speed some stuff along. And actually, I'm only going to look at one of these just because. All right, so looking at this, it looks like we have 2 estate sales there and a couple here. Nothing in that town. Still just looking. So in theory, you could hit these 2 sales on your way over, and then, oops, I made it angry. And definitely a lot of good stuff that you can hit. I'm just going to hit this Salisbury one just because we were planning on going there. Just checking it out really quick. Okay, so lots of books at this one. So there definitely are some estate sales that you can hit if you are planning on actually doing this. But honestly, I think you'd be fine just going to the book sales. For me, I personally find that estate sales, I've mentioned this in other videos actually, I find that estate sales, guys, if you go to one and it's out in the sticks, you can get so much more for so much less money because people are not expecting huge profits on their estate sales. They're doing this to clear out the house, and yeah, it makes some money for the family, but mostly it's to clear out the house. Whereas in the city, the companies are like, oh, I'm gonna nickel and dime you for every single thing, and this is my business. Whereas the country, it's like not as much of this is my business, this is my livelihood. It's more like I'm just helping someone out, So for me, when I go to the country ones, I am paying tops like $2 per book. Generally, it's more like $1 a book. Or honestly, I've had quite a few times where the people are like, oh, you're buying 7 books. You're buying a lot of books, those 7 books. We have 50 over there. You want to take them all for free? And I'm like, free, you say? That's a word I like. So for me, I like the country ones because you get a whole lot more freebies, a whole lot more bang for your buck. And in addition to that, the people are just so nice so much of the time. So that's something I personally enjoy. The city ones, not saying the people aren't nice there, but I'm just a bit of a country person, I guess. Planning on moving to the country anyways, so that's how that works. So with all that said and done, though, guys, I hope that video helps. I know that I walked through quite a few places, and I actually feel a bit lame for not looking at all the estate sales because there looked like there were some cool estate sales. But again, there's so many things that you can do in North Carolina. Like, I was actually surprised to see how many different book sales that were going on at the time when I was first doing a little bit of research for this project. And I was like, oh, wow, maybe I should move on over there. So with that said, though, I hope this video is helpful. Honestly, if you do use this as you're planning for your business trip, I would love to hear what books you get because there definitely look like there could have been some pretty cool ones on this trip. So with all that said and done, though, guys, be sure to subscribe, check out one of my other videos, and I'll see you in the next one.